We have talked about BookTok on the show before and the fact that it is a scourge to humanity, and the women who are reading these so-called romance novels are a stain on the population. Truly, they're reading some of the most degenerate, disgusting things I've ever come across in my life, and that's saying a lot. Evie Magazine published a piece about the growing problem of these so-called romance novels going mainstream, titled "The Porn-Brained Women of Monster Smut." Beneath the glossy covers and viral TikTok reviews, the dark niche of monster smut is becoming mainstream. Is it rewiring female desire? This was written by Evie's own sex columnist, Ivy Lipton, who we've joked about a lot on the show. But she said, "This is sexual conditioning dressed up in pretty covers and marketed as empowerment, and it's wreaking havoc on women's brains and sex lives." One of the examples that she provided is a beginner's book called A Court of Thorns and Roses, and it's written by an author named Sarah J. Maas. When 19-year-old huntress Fair kills a wolf in the woods, a terrifying creature arrives to demand retribution. Dragged to a treacherous magical land she knows about only from legends, Fair discovers that her captor is not truly a beast, but one of the lethal, immortal fairies who once ruled her world. As she adapts to her new home, her feelings for her fairy, Tamlin, transform from icy hostility into fiery passion that burns through every lie she's been told about the beautiful, dangerous world of the Fae. But something is not right in the fairy lands. An ancient, wicked shadow is growing, and Fair must find a way to stop it, or doom Tamlin and his world forever. So, I mean, it sounds weird. It sounds like a weird fantasy novel, right? But when you crack open the book, you're gonna find full-on graphic sex scenes.
Which book was this?
It's called A Court of Thorns and Roses.
That's the one that was labeled like entry level.
This one is just entry level monster.
We haven't even gotten to the milking farm yet.
Milking. We have not even gotten there yet. But the themes are creatures, demons, dungeon rituals, and women being claimed and bred by non-human creatures, a la The Handmaid's Tale, which of course is totally not an erotic thriller series. These aren't niche fantasies. They are massively successful and celebrated openly, with millions of women raving online in TikTok monster smut reviews. So, one of the worst examples cited here is a book called Morning Glory Milking Farm.
Here, I'm going to show
you. And you can see the cover.
The
here.
art is my favorite part. It's the worst art I've ever seen for a book cover.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Not even just the subject matter, but the actual art is just bad.
Yeah, so you see here, it's some sort of mythical bull minotaur creature embracing a woman who is wearing a milkmaid dress.
They're like, look, what, Beauty and the Beast is bad now? That's what they're going to tell you. They're going to be like, look,
exactly.
I read Beauty and the Beast,
right.
It was fine.
They're going to draw a false equivalency between the two, but that is not going to fly. So I just want to read through the synopsis here because it's pure gold. It stars Violet, a typical down-on-her-luck millennial, mid-20s, overeducated, and drowning in debt, on the verge of moving into her parents' basement, when a lifeline appears in the form of an unconventional job in neighboring Cambric Creek. She has no choice but to grab at it with both hands. That's a little bit of foreshadowing for you.
Get it?
Morning Glory Farm offers full-time hours, benefits, and generous pay with no experience needed. There's only one catch. The clientele is grade A certified prime beef with the manly, meaty endowments to match. Hands-on work with minotaurs isn't something Violet ever considered as a career option, but she's determined to turn the opportunity into a reversal of fortune. When a stern, deep-voiced client begins to specially request her for his sessions at the farm, maintaining her professionalism and keeping him out of her dreams is easier said than done. Violet is resolved to make a dent in her student loans and afford name-brand orange juice, and a one-sided crush on an out-of-her-league minotaur is not a part of her plan. Unless her feelings aren't so one-sided after all.
My favorite part is that this is a world where minotaurs and student loans exist together.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that I don't think they ever got into in Harry Potter, like, did any of the Harry Potter kids ever have to like go into the dark arts because they took out loans to go to Hogwarts? Like, did any of them resort to a life of crime? Was Voldemort like, look, I'll pay you good money to like hate other wizards, and you can pay off Dumbledore for all your years of magic training?
This is no Hogwarts. And in case you didn't pick up on the hint there, we're not talking about milking cows.
Nope.
There's another type of milking involved here. And, you know, it's just ridiculous because you will criticize the material these women are reading and openly talking about, their full names and faces on these reviews on Amazon. And they will say you're actually being judgmental and you're shaming women for having a passion for literature. Mm-hmm. But to say that you have a passion for literature when in reality you're talking about smut is the same thing as a man saying he's a cinephile and he spends 3 hours a day watching Pornhub. There's no difference.
They mentioned that in the,
obviously,
in the article.
The one difference you could draw is that the videos that are on Pornhub involve actual people instead of just words on a page. And those have their own ethical concerns, right? The fact that people are exploited and, you know, there's a lot of like trafficking and crime. But if we're just talking about the material these people are consuming, it's not literature. It's porn. It's just written porn. And it's being sold in Barnes & Noble in its own section. And it's gone fully mainstream. And women are expecting to not be shamed for this because we live in a sexually liberated society. And they're just living out their fantasies. And you have no right to decry them for this. And they're actually highbrow because they're, you know, literature aficionados at this point. I want to show a TikTok of a woman introducing her husband to Morning Glory Milking Farm. Oh. A lot of these women are in relationships or married, sadly.
Here we go.
He reads finance and sci-fi books, and so I think it's about time that I introduce him to some real literature. So the first book that I would like to introduce you to is called Morning Glory Milking Farm. Oh, no. Here's a vision.
To be fair, she at least seems to understand that this is not highbrow literature, and she's saying so in jest.
Okay, well, she already read it, and I don't think she was just reading it.
Here we go.
I think she was reading it with one hand on the book.
For you?
You've read this book?
I have. What do you think it's about?
I think this young maiden may run a dairy farm here, and is there a bowl of some sort on this farm?
Close. So, the book starts off with a woman, and she's down on her luck, and she sees a job advertisement for a milking farm, and it's not a normal milking farm like with cows. What it is it's big, bulky minotaurs, and it's a special type of milking, if you know what I'm talking about. Basically, these minotaurs, they come into this farm, and it's split levels, and they sit in this chair with their thing through a hole, like, above. And the workers, this woman, the maiden.
Is she the only worker?
There are several workers. She milks them. It's pretty formal process, right? And then once they're nearing their end, they have what is essentially a vacuum. And they take this vacuum and they stick it on. And it will collect everything, and it will put it into essentially what I imagine is like a milk jug. That's the process of the milking. I did want to explain that to you. It's very important to the story.
Is she the only worker?
There are several workers, because bull juices are a really good, like, male enhancement vitamin. And so that's
so this is like a commercial enterprise.
It's a commercial enterprise. Yeah, I should have led with that. Yeah.
Are they like fully sentient? Like they are like?
Yeah, they talk. They have jobs. They wear clothing. They just
they're going into their 9 to 5.
Yeah, and there's different names for them. So there are the clock watchers. Those are the men who are like coming in on their lunch break. There are the good little cows. Those are the ones that it's like they're like really into it. And then there are what was it? I think it's called the super milkers or something. Those are like the ones that have a lot of...
Super milkers.
product to supply.
Just
my
imagine what the reaction would be from a wife whose husband comes to her with his laptop and says, "Look at this porn video I was watching."
Yeah, he's like, "Look, honey, so this is a stepbrother.
Well, and
this is his stepsister, and she's stuck in the dryer."
Yeah, I don't think that like the wife would take very kindly to that, and I don't think that it would be a gigantic punchline for people to laugh at.
No, he's being cucked in this video.
She also led with like, he usually reads his like finance books, so he went from like Rich Dad Poor Dad to Moo Moo Milk Farm or whatever.
Yeah, and Ivy Lipton's theory as to why romance novels, so-called romance novels, especially monster smut, has taken off in popularity, it's because actual masculinity has been demonized.
Yes, they're only able to submit to beasts because society has told them to distrust actual human male masculinity.
Our culture teaches women to distrust masculinity, turning male dominance into something to fear, but many women still crave surrender, so they create a safe loophole. If the dominator is a monster, the risk is gone. There's no vulnerability with a fairy king or demon lord because they aren't real. The fantasy becomes a coping mechanism for women unwilling to trust real men. But here's the thing, it's not safe. And she goes on to explain the fact that obviously by consuming this type of content, you are rewiring your dopamine receptors, and this is going to be the only thing that can excite you or arouse you anymore. Even women who are openly talking about this that are married are more excited by milking farm than having an actual sex life with their husbands. Is that not an obvious problem? Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of conversation about porn addiction in men, and it's certainly more common, but this is somehow considered safe for work content. This is somehow considered more socially acceptable, and it's also denied that this is a form of pornography.
Is it more common, or is it just that this isn't talked about?
I think it's statistically more common for men to have porn addictions.
I mean, nobody's going to call this an addiction, so it won't matter. Like, there'll never be studies done on it.
Right, exactly. But this is unfortunately not fringe anymore. Like, these books are selling millions of copies. You can see, based on the content on TikTok of women reviewing these books, that it's far more common than we realize. And it's being sold at mainstream bookstores like Barnes and Noble, where there are kids, by the way, which is just disgusting.
What do you even ask when you go to Barnes and Noble and you want to find these books? Like, yeah, where's the milking section?
Well, it's like it has its own special
the milk
stand.
zone, or
like it's like a whole section of the store at this
imagine
point
the freak
dedicated
show
to this stuff.
shopping around that part.
Yeah, and they don't feel any shame about it whatsoever.
Oh.
They're, I'm looking at the Amazon page for this book, and there are people reviewing it with their full names and their faces showing, with zero thought to how this could affect their personal life. They have no shame about it.
It's over. It's actually over.
And we need the shaming. We say it all the time, but we need shaming in this society.
I think we missed the boat. I think it's over.
So I don't know. Did she pay off her student loans or what?
Yeah, that's the real question.
Well, we know it's
Are
a
they
happy
hiring?
ending.
Are they hiring? Is there an application process? No, it's we're circling the drain. Like the shame. I agree. I think we ran out of time. I think it's over.
It's too late.
It's over.
It's too late for these women. They're cooked.
Yeah,
it's over.
Their brains are.
There's a chopped epidemic. There's a milking epidemic. I mean, how do we come back from this? I don't think we do. I think it's over.
Oh, I also wanted to show a helpful diagram for us to decode
Oh, yes.
this. It's called the Monster spectrum.
Men, you want to shoot for human pro.
The Barbot scale is actually named after the author of the original Beauty and the Beast, because some women equate Morning Glory milking farm with Beauty and the Beast.
Yep.
A story made for children.
So human, it says, these characters are humans without any extra supernatural gifts or abilities. Human Pro, so it's like when you get like the Pro package on your streaming service with no ads. These characters usually look like humans but have non-human gifts or abilities. Then there's the Shifter. These characters have a human form and a non-human form. Many also have non-human abilities, even in human form. And then there's the Humanoid Creature. These characters are not human and do not look like humans, but have mainly human features. There's the non-humanoid creature. These characters are not human, do not look like humans, and have few humanoid features. And then there's the what the fuck is that? Which is these characters are not human, do not look like humans, and no humanoid features.
So it's just bestiality
It's just bestiality.
at that point.
So
Like everyone
like
knows,
somebody-
I love the Twilight movies. This is a far cry from a vampire love story. Okay.
Yes.
Like I stand on business. I love Twilight. I think it's a great movie. But there's no comparison between that and what these BookTok women are reading.
So it's basically like, what was it in Harry Potter, the Animagus, where they can turn into an animal? Some girl was reading that. Some woman was reading that, was like, what if they had sex with me while I was like, well, they were like turned into a wolf.
Gross.
And then they're like, by the way, guys, your porn addiction, that's real sus. Okay.
I hate it.
Like everyone's trying to wonder, Bonnie Blue, she's 25, she looks like that. It's because she read a few of these books. That ages you.
It's just like, have
This is traumatizing.
Have any of these women done an ounce of introspection? Like, have they thought about what their porn content
'Cause this-
says about them and their subconscious
This would be rock
desires?
bottom for normal people.
No. The thing is, though, is you have to have some aspect of society pushing back on you, and there is no aspect of society that's pushing back on you, unless they're watching this podcast.
We need the justice system to push back on these people.
Like, that should probably tell you that underneath it all, you probably, don't want to be a girl boss who's in charge all the time.
Heather
Like, maybe that's like one theory that we could posit here.
Heather Chancellor in the chat says, "A Court of Thrones and Thrones and Roses is way closer to Twilight than whatever the hell that woman was showing her husband." Yeah, that's the point. The way they talk about it is that it's basically your entryway into it's your.
No, yeah, and you don't know the real content that's inside that one. It's the entry level book, but if you read it, you would see there's graphic sexual material about a human woman having sex with a clawed fairy monster that,
They're like, at least he's not a CEO.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely no 50 Shades of Grey either.
I mean,
at least you could say he's human.
We're 5 years away from PetSmart looking like a truck stop. At this point. I
Disgusting.
mean, that's the route we're heading down.
It's disgusting.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.